Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if things are looking a little crazy here, it's because today I am doing the how I do my makeup now versus how I used to do my makeup. We are doing how I used to do my makeup 10 years ago, and it gets a little nostalgic for me, you know. I was surprised. I'll say that much. I was surprised. I swear to God, if you could see my pictures from 2010 to 2011, this was my makeup look in every single one of them, and it's crazy. Like, while I'm doing my makeup in this video, it's just so nostalgic for me, you know. And it's crazy to see some things, I'll be honest, some things are very much the same, but it's crazy to see how much is truly different. So if you want to see the variations of how I do my makeup now versus how I used to do my makeup 10 years ago, just keep watching. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, okay? I'm like 27 subscribers away from being able to direct link my channel, but the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if you hit the subscribe button, which I know you're going to, so thank you in advance. I'm using MAC's Painterly Paint Pot to prime my eye. This is a step that has not changed. I have used Painterly for years. But I'm taking that from my lashes all the way up to my brow. 10 years ago, I would always prime just the lid part after Painterly using NYX Jumbo Eyeshadow Pencil in Milk. I still really like this product. It will brighten anything that you put on top of it. I just find that a lot of the shadows that I use now don't need that super bright white pigment underneath, you know. It's like the quality of the shadows that I use have improved, so I don't need a stark white pigment to make the shadows more intense. Okay, and after you laid that down, you would always have to go back and make sure that Milk didn't have any harsh lines. Okay, the only transition shade I knew existed was MAC's Omega. And I'm taking that through the crease on a fluffy brush. Outer corner all the way to inner corner. Is it bad that I remember exactly how I used to do my makeup? Like, the products, everything. Because I only had one look. And I wore this look almost every single day for like 2 years. Very rarely did I wear another look. Next, my favorite shade of life was Night Divine by MAC. And I used that on a flat brush. Started at the outer corner. And brought it up to the crease. This is such a heavy look. Like, looking back on it now, I can't believe that this was my everyday eye look. And I wear some heavy eye makeup on the daily, but it's just so much. Like, every single day, y'all, this is the one. Next, I would take the shade Electra by MAC on the other side of that same flat brush. And I would take that up to the crease as well. And make those two shades meet in the middle. And when they met in the middle, I would kind of flip my brush back and forth where they met to make them like very pretty. So the colors overlapped and there was a pretty like transition gradient there. One of my favorite like go-to liner shades and darker shades was Clarity by MAC. It was a mineral shadow and it looks like super shimmery and rainbowy in the pan, but it is this just pretty soft black with a hint of a sheen, but nothing too in your face. I loved this shadow and it was limited edition and it broke my heart. Oh my gosh. And I would take that on a 221 brush, another product you can't get anymore, and I would run that ever so slightly through the crease to where that lightest shade started. Then I would go back in with that very first brush with nothing else on it and blend them all together. Last, I would wet my pencil brush with some Mixing Medium or Fix Plus, and because you can use the mineral shadows wet or dry, I would run this under my lashes. And there was something about the sheen that this black gave that made it not so harsh to where, like, if you were just straight like carbon black under your lashes, it would be so much. But it's like this sheen from this softened it just a hint and made it, I mean, don't get me wrong, girl, this is a smoky, intense lower lash line. Because I think this is probably the same Urban Decay Perversion eye pencil that I was using then. It probably should not go in my waterline, but it's about to. I never went anywhere without my black eyeliner in the waterline. Oh, and I tightline every day too. So much black liner. Lash line on the lid, I used MAC's Black Track Fluid Line, and this was before everybody did a wing every day, thank God. So I had it thinner to thicker out here, but no wing ever. Oh, I would always brow highlight first and using MAC's Vanilla Pigment, and there was no gentle placing of it underneath the brow. It was all under the brow, everywhere. Okay, that's not as terrible as I remember it. I'm having slight anxiety right now. Okay, the mascara that I used most often was L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black. I have talked about this in a recent video. I think it's interesting to see the products that have carried over, like Painterly and this mascara and Black Track. The shadows that are still hanging around, you know? I think that's pretty cool. Back in the day, I wore a foundation primer every day. I wore the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer. I thought that because I had a little pink in my cheeks that I needed to color correct all over. I now know that that is not the case. Oh God. It's so green. I also did not know how to apply this. So instead of pressing the primer in, I did the rub, so it didn't actually do much for texture. Now this product does a great job of color correcting where you need it. But I just don't feel like now, looking back, that my skin has ever been red enough to need the color correction that this gives. Like, it makes me look sick. I know exactly what I was wearing an NW25 Pro Longwear foundation from MAC, and Pro Longwear foundation's actually been discontinued now. The closest thing I have to that is the Maybelline Fit Me, and I only use the foundation brush. This is a Sigma F80. I brought my foundation all the way under my eye. I used Pro Longwear concealer every single day, but I don't have Pro Longwear concealer in my shade right now, and the closest thing that I have is the Milani Conceal and Perfect. It's just a medium to full coverage concealer. I still did that with a brush. If there is one thing that this has already shown me before I even start the other side of my face, it is how much a beauty blender has changed my life. The coverage, though, is building much easier. Now listen, sis did not know about a setting powder, but boy, oh boy, did she know about a bronzer. This is the Too Faced Aqua Bunny. I really like this formula, and I miss, like, it reminds me a lot of the Soleil Tan de Chanel, the cream to powder bronzer. But the thing is, I didn't just put it like, y'all, I put it everywhere. There was no specific placement. Yep, sure did. So all that time we spent neutralizing and covering up all that red, can we just witness the red from the bronzer that we're putting back in right now? Alright, still in my blush palette. My favorite blush of life was Margin. You had to smile to put on your blush. That's right there on the apples. Just right there. Okay. This is pre-highlight too. Highlight wasn't really a thing. Okay. Yep. just like that. However, I did know what a contour was, and I used Harmony. Yep. And just all in. This was every day. Let's not forget that this was not just special going out makeup, y'all. This was going to the grocery store makeup. This was going to church makeup. This was let me babysit y'all kids makeup. This so much makeup. We all have what we call stepping stones, right? And you know what? I would still wear something similar to this look today. My go-to lip was something that should not be going on my lips, but is about to. Lady Gaga Vivid Lamb. Whew. I actually wore this to my college graduation 4 years ago. It shouldn't have been on my lips then. No lip liner, no primer. I just need to point out that in 2010, I watched a lot of Jerseylicious. Okay? And I always had some kind of clear, glittery ass gloss to go on top. This is like old MAC packaging, so it definitely shouldn't be on my mouth. I need my skin, my eyes, and my just body to forgive me for everything I'm putting it through right now, for all this expired stuff. I mean, aside from it being like heavy makeup, it's not terrible, right? I mean, honestly, just recently did away with the brow pencil that I used back in the day, and it was Dirty Blonde brow pencil from MAC, and they don't make it anymore. I do have Fling brow pencil from MAC. I never combed my brows through before I did it, okay? And it was just a little, nothing, you know, just where it was sparse. There it is with the brow. That made a huge difference, I know. Fun fact, they made us wear our makeup like this to counter one day. Not this specific look, but we had to go in with full face on one side, nothing on the other. It was the worst day of my life at work. I hated it. I felt like an idiot. In theory, it was a before and after in real life. In actuality, everybody looked at you like, what the hell is wrong with your face? Let's just go ahead and start how I do my makeup now. Okay. Again, I'm priming this eye using MAC's Painterly Paint Pot. I'm taking a fluffy brush in the shade Kid. And I'm running that on the brow bone. Not all the way to the inner corner. Stopping about where the brow starts. I want to leave that inner corner open and bright, so I don't want the transition shade to go all the way to the inner corner. I'm using my same MAC 221 brush. I hate it's been discontinued, but I've used it for literally 10 years. This is the shade Finjan, and I'm running it in that same area, but because the brush is a little smaller, it's going to be a little more concentrated. A brush is one of those things that if you put money into good brushes and you take care of your brushes, they will last 10 plus years. I'm using a MAC 242 brush in the shade Vanilla. And I'm pressing that on the lid. And in this inner corner where we didn't bring those transition shade and that crease shade in quite as far, I'm going to bring it up a little further. But on the actual lid, I'm not going to bring it up quite as high. I'm just going to bring it up to meet that darker shade. Even now, I still prefer using a shadow as liner underneath. So I'm using a pencil brush in the shade Finjan. It's funny, I didn't realize how long I've done this technique. Not only using a shadow underneath, but I tend to use whatever my darkest shade is up here is my liner shade for underneath. I rarely use a liner on top anymore unless I wear lashes, and I don't wear lashes on the daily, and today I don't plan to. So let's just get the liner and go straight to mascara. Honestly, MAC's Upward Lash is still my go-to as of right now. Even though I still love the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black. Like I said, I just bought a new one not long ago. Okay, my favorite primer right now does not address color correction because I have learned to deal with my redness, and I found that foundation covers enough of the color that I'm okay with it. So the primer that I have been loving when I choose to use a primer is the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. It really gives a glow to my skin, and it helps with any texture that I have. And everything just lays so pretty on top. I discovered a fuller coverage foundation. My foundation that I've been loving recently is the Milani Conceal and Perfect. I know that most people like to put the foundation on the back of their hand and pick it up and then apply it. But if you've not seen my Il Makiage foundation review, I'll link that right here. I do a comparison between putting the foundation on this way and blending it out with a beauty sponge versus picking the foundation up from the back of your hand and putting it on with a beauty sponge. Doing it this way, I literally use half the amount. Like, picking it up from the back of my hand, I remember I used, I think, like 6 pumps. And doing it this way, I think I used 3 for my full face. Yes, I intentionally foundation my lips. I feel like I get the truest color from whatever lipstick I choose, which is, let's get real, normally a nude. I discovered concealer for under eye. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. Also, instead of bronzing all over my nose, I started highlighting the tip of my nose. Concealing and highlighting my jawline. There's almost too much product to just do half of my nose. I discovered setting powder, and if you've watched more than one of my videos, you know that the only setting powder I love is MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish. I'm setting my under eye using Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Light. And I am still a big fan of bronzer, but I just know where to place it. it's not an all over hot mess. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. One of my favorite blush shades is MAC's Blush Baby. And one of my favorite things that I've changed in my routine is my blush placement. So I no longer start my blush here and bring it back. I start my blush at my hairline and bring it down. And I feel like that gives my face a much more lifted and kind of like sun-kissed bronzy appearance. I feel like this side, it just makes my face look more like round and chubby, and I feel like this side, it just really helps like slim my face down. I'm just blending now. My favorite contour powder is MAC's Shadester, and my favorite cheek contour brush is by IT Cosmetics. It's the Airbrush Foundation Brush. And truly, like, if I'm not doing anything super intense or glam, I will use this for my nose too. If you have a super small nose or smaller features, I wouldn't. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I could give everybody in the world who wears makeup one gift, it would be MAC's Prep and Prime Lip. I'm going to use MAC's Lip Pencil in Hover. I'm going on top with the shade Macadamia by L'Oreal, number 808. And I still like a good gloss. This one's by Morphe. For my new brow, I learned to comb my brow through. If you want to skip this part, I will link my current brow tutorial. And I discovered my love for a brow pomade. This one's by Milani. It's in the color soft brown, I think. At the bottom. Find that bottom. The top of that tail. Bottom of the tail. Top, front, and then fill it in. The back and make adjustments as needed. There's this side. And this side. I don't even know. Are they that different? I mean, I know they are, but like either way, it's a lot of makeup. But it's like little adjustments. Truthfully, now that I see them in the mirror, they're not as different as I thought they were. I mean, aside from like, obviously this brow is a lot different. The liner is a lot different. And this eye is not as heavy. The cheek, I guess. It's the little things, you know? Do you think it's a big difference? How has your makeup changed in the past 10 years? Let me know. Like, let's chat about it. Has it changed a whole lot? Like, let's talk. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.